The small town of Ravenscroft, nestled comfortably between rolling hills and dense woods, was where I found myself renting for the first time. The house, an aging structure with ivy crawling up its weathered walls, seemed to whisper secrets of days long past. I was eager to escape the sheltered confines of my parents' home and embrace the independence that came with being a college student. The excitement of setting up my new life overshadowed the quirks of the old house. It stood alone at the edge of town, its surroundings bathed in an eerie silence. The occasional creaks and groans of the time-worn structure added to its charm. Also, I tried to convince myself. The interior held an antique allure, with creaky floorboards and ornate fixtures that hinted at the house's history. The walls seemed to absorb the stories of those who had lived within them, leaving a lingering presence that I couldn't quite shake. Still, it was mine, a haven of independence and the promise of newfound freedom. However, as the days unfolded, the enchantment began to wane. Strange sounds echoed through the walls, elusive and fleeting. At first, I dismissed them as the ordinary murmurs of an old house. The fridge, too, began to betray me. Every morning, I'd open it to find a little less a gradual disappearance of my food, as if some unseen force had developed a taste for my groceries. Determined to unravel the mystery, I decided to host a sleepover with friends. Perhaps their presence would dispel the unsettling atmosphere that clung to my home. The night began with laughter and camaraderie, the creaks of the house blending with the sounds of shared stories and animated discussions. Morning arrived, and my friends departed with reassurances that everything was normal. Yet, as they left, a shadow lingered in their eyes, an unspoken worry that danced at the edges of our conversation. They suggested I might need more sleep, or perhaps I was experiencing bouts of sleepwalking, planting seeds of doubt that took root in my mind. Days turned into nights, and the unsettling occurrences persisted. Sleep became an elusive companion, and each morning brought with it the realization that my fridge had once again been raided. The whispers within the walls intensified, as if the house itself was harboring a secret that it longed to share. Then came the night that plunged me into a waking nightmare. I awoke with a start, beads of sweat clinging to my forehead. The remnants of a horrifying dream clung to my consciousness, refusing to release their grip. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, a chilling sight awaited me. A pair of eyes, luminescent and predatory, stared back at me from the vents above my bed. Fear paralyzed me as I confronted the inexplicable horror. The eyes seemed to penetrate the very core of my being, a silent observer lurking within the shadows. I fumbled for the light switch, and as the room bathed in an artificial glow, the eyes vanished. I questioned my sanity, grappling with the possibility that my mind had conjured the terrifying apparition. But the lingering dread that settled in my chest told me otherwise. Driven by a need for answers, I delved into the history of the house. The revelation was more horrifying than any nightmare the previous occupant, a recluse with a penchant for avoiding human contact, had taken up residence within the walls. This elusive figure had been surviving on stolen morsels from my fridge, waiting patiently for me to be alone. The police were summoned, but the interloper had vanished, leaving behind a chilling void and a house tainted by the residue of their presence. Within the walls, they had left not only stolen provisions, but also a disconcerting array of personal effects, evidence of a life lived in seclusion. I couldn't stay. The house, once a symbol of newfound freedom, had transformed into a breeding ground for fear and paranoia. Every creak, every shadow, bore the weight of the unknown, and I knew I could never shake the specter of the unseen intruder. With trepidation, I packed my belongings, leaving behind the house that held secrets darker than I could fathom. As I closed the door for the last time, the weight of the previous renter's gaze lingered in the air, a haunting reminder that some horrors hide just beyond the walls.